So tonight's video is about mapping coordinate points. We've learned about positive and negative integer operations. We've learned about some order of operations. Now we're going to look at how those positive and negative numbers affect our coordinate points on coordinate graphs. Now up here we have this little guy, and his name is Mr. Mug. And Mr. Mug is made up of coordinate points, and the points that we can plot on the vertices of Mr. Mug. Now, Mr. Mug can use some coordinate points, so let's give him his corners here, and we can identify every point that we have on Mr. Mug, just like so. Any corner we see, any vertex, we can look at and plot that point for him. Once we do that, it may be a good idea to keep track of these coordinate points in a table or a graph, however you really want to do that. And there's also these points on the inside of Mr. Mug as well. A really good way to keep track of the coordinate points is also by giving them labels. That is, giving them a location so that you can refer to them in your table. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to go clockwise. And I'm going to give all my coordinate points a label. Just like that. And the reason I'm giving them letters as labels instead of numbers is just so that I know that I'm not going to get confused later on. Now I have points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to S. And it's my job to track all of these points. So I'm going to say A, B, C, and so on. Now what I need to do is I need to look for my coordinate points and label those points as coordinate pairs in my table. So my coordinate point A up here has a coordinate pair of my x value being positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and my y value being positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my coordinate pair is 7, 9, and that's my first point. So this is my location, and this is my coordinate pair. Point B is located right over here, and point B has an x value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a y value of 1, 2, 3. So when I write my coordinate pair for B, I'm going to write 9, 3. Now this is easy enough to do, to keep track of the coordinate points and to label all the coordinate points until we know exactly how to recreate Mr. Mug. But what I'm really interested in, what I really want to know is really how I could recreate Mr. Mug in a different location on my coordinate grid. How could I recreate him? Now, when I talk about recreating him, I really am talking about moving his position. and maybe putting him over here. Now we have a whole new Mr. Mug, and I want to figure out how to get from my first Mr. Mug to my second Mr. Mug. And this is called mapping a coordinate point, or writing a rule to map the points. Now, the best way to do this is to pick a point on my existing Mr. Mug and figure out how to get from that point to the new point on my Mr. Mug. They're both the lower left-hand corner of my Mr. Mug, but I want to figure out how I can move that. What kind of rule can I write? And the way you're going to write the rule is you're going to say my original x value and my original y value is going to change so that something happens to x and something happens to y to make it move to my new Mr. Mug. Now, the x direction is a horizontal direction. When I go to the right, I go positive. When I go to the left, I go negative. To get from horizontally from this point to this point, I need to go to the left. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces until I am right over my new Mr. Mug point. So my x is going to be given 10 additional units, and because I'm going to the left, it's going to be negative units, not positive units. Now my y value has to go down. This is my vertical distance. It's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces downward as well. Now, when you talk about vertical distances, up is positive and down is negative. So I went down, down 10 spaces is minus 10. So the rule for mapping my Mr. Mug from its original location to its new location is x comma y is mapped to x minus 10 comma y minus 10. Now this should work for any of my coordinate points. So for example, if I pick the coordinate point on the inside of Mr. Mug's nose, the location to that point is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my coordinate point right here. If I take that coordinate point, 6, comma 6, and I follow the rule, and I plug in 6 minus 10, comma 6 minus 10, I get negative 4, comma negative 4. If I go negative 4, comma negative 4, I should land at that same location on my new mug lump. And this is actually true. It's the same location. It worked. So I know that my rule is true and my rule is accurate for mapping my mug lump to a new location. Okay? So tomorrow you're going to get a little more practice with this, and you're also going to see different figures and different shapes besides Mr. Mug Lump.